Getting it real with RealChunWai on the hottest topics, frank, engaging and candid. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. She regards herself as an activist lawyer who dared to speak up for the minorities, including the Orang Asli and the LGBTI. Please welcome the outspoken human rights lawyer, Miss Siti Kasim. Malaysia and followers from around the world. Tonight, I am really thrilled to have with us the one and only Siti Kasim, the original Harimau Maya, who dares to bounce and roar because Malaysia just have got too many tikus, politikus. Okay. And we need people who dare to speak up for the minority and that to say so with the interests of Malaysia at heart. Welcome on board, sir. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Good evening to everyone. Yes, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Welcome, madam. Okay, now let's dive into the conversation.
Yes.
The fact that I'm wearing this shirt with the tiger there is to signify the year of the tiger. We're in the celebrating mood, but we still want to talk about the politics in this country.
Yes.
Why are our politicians, many of them, not all, many of them are silent when it comes to issues like corruption, which Malaysians feel very strongly about? There seems to be a deafening silence when it comes to logging, also Sunni. When it comes to environment, nobody wants to talk about it. And the only time somebody talks about it, she has got to talk about blood-sucking killer orangutan, which put us all in a bad spot. Why are they so silent on issues which matters most to Malaysians?
Yes. You know, our country, the corruption is so ingrained that it had become a way of life. You know, we have to promote a culture which makes it close to impossible for the corrupt to prosper or escape detection. On your question why, I don't know. Perhaps most of them are already tainted and connected to these corruptions, logging and destroying our environment. Maybe that's why many are silent on this. You know, who knows? Because they are the only one who will know why they are very silent on issues which are so serious, in which our government should actually talk about this. Yeah.
The difference, of course, is that in the past, the media was limited. But now, thanks to social media,
Yes.
We can have all these platforms and all these conversations direct to you, to your home.
Yep.
And you're listening to Siti Kasim herself directly, rather than to have a filter conversation. And I think that Malaysia has changed so much. But if politicians do not change and react to the circumstances that it's moving so far, then there will be a loss, because Malaysians are going to speak up about corruption, logging, environment. They may think that environment is not important. You know, it's not emotional. It's going to not to be translated into votes now. Siti, you have been involved in a lot of this Orang Asli community, their work. You go to the jungle a lot, and that you hear these past leaders saying that, oh, itu harimau, they come out because they are sakit, nothing to do with logging. You go to the jungles a lot. What do you see, and how does it affect the Orang Asli?
Oh, it affects them very badly. As you can see, what's been portrayed recently, where even an Orang Asli died from being mauled by the tiger, right? And they are now, like roaming around near the villages and all that. And why is that? It's because there are no more forests in the jungle. If you look from outside, they are very smart. They will log only behind the frontage. But if you go inside, then most of the forests are gone. They are now planting like musangking lah, a lot of plantations and mining. All these are actually affecting the Orang Asli lives very badly, because the Orang Asli used to be able to do their own farming and go into the jungle to find whatever they need and also to sell these items outside. but they are unable to do so because now they are even afraid to go to their little farm, where they grow their own rice or things like that, for fear of like tigers, coming and elephant as well that destroy their crops. So it has actually affected orang asli in many ways actually, this deforestation and everything. So whatever the government say, of course, is a laughable, that it's not affecting, and the things they have come up with. And as you say rightly, with social media, people are more aware of what's going on, the real truth. So you can see a lot of politicians being mocked by many netizens, basically. Yeah.
I saw a picture of I think a tiger near the fence of a school in Kelantan.
Yes.
I mean that is almost unprecedented. I mean,
No.
we hear of tigers moving around, but near the school at the fringe of the fence, that's really something else.
Yes, that is really highly unusual. In
Mm,
fact, never happened before.
yeah.
That tiger was reported to be seen near the school, post Bala. So that is, I know the school. I've been there many times, and in fact, to be honest, usually it's really not easy to see any form of wild animal around. But to see a tiger in the village near a school, that is unprecedented. Basically, never happened before. So this is why, in fact, a lot of the orang asli are in fear of even leaving their house. In fact, a lot of them, they stay in one house together. The whole village goes into one house
Oh my God.
because of the fear of these tigers and elephants, roaming around their village.
Yeah, it's very simple. We have destroyed their homes.
Yep.
And yep, it's simple. The most of these animals, they stay away from human beings. When the fact that they have got to come out, it means that their homes are gone. They're looking for food. It's very simple. Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
Indeed, yeah.
yeah. Okay, Siti, Malaysia has become very political, very politicized. If you look at the elections in Sarawak, you see a large number of new political parties. And I think in this general election, we will also see a large number of new parties, probably in Johor as well. There have been many newcomers. But of course, having many parties, while Malaysians have a choice, it also affects the chances of the opposition. The opposition will find themselves marginalized and fighting among themselves. Do you think that having too many political parties would affect the way things should emerge in the voting pattern?
As you can see, our beloved country, Malaysia, is not just in crisis, but is on the brink of being a failed state. Corruption is at an all-time high. Our education system has become mired in theocracy instead of science, and standards has been so low to ensure ethnocracy is the objective rather than merit. Our governance has become comatose due to this race, religion, politics of the last 40 years. So we are fighting for Malaysia and for Malaysians. So our politics is not just fragmented, but is clearly today mostly occupied by people who have no interest of the rakyat as their priority. Not all, but most of them are, be it in the government or opposition. The so-called opposition were given power by the rakyat. No doubt some may say it was short-lived, only 22 months. But what have they achieved? Nothing. Why are we in this situation today? And why are they in their current predicament? They are too busy fighting who should be the PM instead of repairing the wrongs. They have no leadership, but mostly has-beens who just want to win their cushy positions and become ministers and prime minister even when they can't lead their own parties. This is on both sides actually.
Yeah.
So it's time Malaysians start thinking and acting for ourselves rather than having political parties become our middlemen whilst we and the nation pay the price. So we must step up if we believe Malaysia is worth savings for our citizens. And that is all that matters.
Yep. Malaysians are actually completely fed up of politicians.
Right.
There's a trust deficit. There's the lack of hope for this country because there are no leaders in town
Yep.
who can provide their leadership and provide the vision of what Malaysia should be and where we should go. Now, there has been a lot of hunger for the third force. You have been involved in MAJU, the Malaysian Action for Justice and Unity Foundation. Can you tell us about what MAJU is and what are the plans that of these leaders are involved in the MAJU?
Okay. One has to understand that Gerak Independent, in which backup by Maju, is two separate entity. Maju is an NGO in which I found as the founder. Maju is an NGO that actually our aspirations are what Gerak Independent aspiration as well. Maju, basically what we are doing is mostly on community work, but of course, Maju is being backed up, as I said, towards independent, because we believe in order to achieve the aspirations of Maju, that we need to be in parliament. We need to put good people in parliament. So that is one way we believe the only way that we can change the country, by putting good people in parliament. And that's why Maju started this Gerak Independent, because we are not a political party, but we are thinking, how do we change the country in order to achieve what we aspire. So this is why Gerak Independent was born, and we believe we must put good people, and going through parties, political parties, is not the way right now in Malaysia. It doesn't work in Malaysia because you have to go up through the hierarchy, and then you have to know how to scratch the back of the leaders. If you are in the favor of the leadership, then only you can go up. Doesn't matter whether you are competent and will be a great person as a member of parliament. So this is the political parties' ways, and in which we believe that it's not working in Malaysia. Just look at our so-called Pakatan Harapan. Despite a lot of people have faith in them, but they still follow the leadership. Whatever the leaders said, they will actually follow. They have they can't have their own conscience, in deciding whether to support or not any kind of move in parliament. So if the leader said you jump, they will say how high. They don't question why or not. So it's not working. So we have to actually do this to put in good people through independence. And that's why we, in the Gerak Independent, we go through a lot of vetting process before you can become independent under Gerak Independent group. Yes.
Beside your good self, who are the leaders in the Gerak Maju?
There are no leaders. Basically, we are all on our own, but we all aspire to the pillars that we stand for. So we are not going to tell anyone how to vote or how to actually, but as long as the pillars, which is our manifesto, in which to have, the pillars are very much in line with the universal human rights, kind of policies. So they are free to think for themselves, and obviously through the vetting, they have been vetted accordingly on how they see this country going to be in the future. So that's it. There's no leaders in the Gerak Independent. We are all our own on our own, and we are only answerable to our constituencies that we are going to serve if we are ever going to be elected.
Okay. So can I take it that you will be contesting in this election as a independent candidate?
Yes. But all of us are going to be standing as independent candidate. But despite that, we are willing to work with any political parties or individuals who are like-minded. Basically, we are not here to spoil the vote, as people say, like splitting the votes. No. We are not not to go out and kick out any good MPs. Okay, we are not going to we know there are many good MPs as well in Parliament, but we are going to contest in areas which we believe the MPs are poor performance, the frogs, the kata. So these are the places that we are looking at. But after all, there are not many of us. As we have told much earlier, there are only about 10, maximum 10 of us. Give us a chance to show you how we can perform as your MP in Parliament. Yes.
Siti, given the political realities in this country, in any other country, the winnable seats, which what do you call it, your good self and others might be eyeing, the other opposition parties like DAP, Warisan Maju, and PKR, they will also be eyeing these seats. Okay, so why would they want to compromise with you and give that chance to you?
Yes, as I said, we are in discussions, working with like-minded people, because we understand the concern that the public have with regards to splitting the votes and all that. So we hope that if these political parties, as you can see, many political parties have put up candidates which are useless, never say a word in Parliament. Some don't even attend Parliament, and so instead of I know some political parties are very possessive of their seat or things like that, but the rakyat must think that you must choose the best person for you, not based on political parties. So there are political parties who are selfish. They just want to show that they are more powerful than others by having more seats, But at the end of the day, are they thinking, is this the best for the people? So, this is why we are not going to say we are just going to bulldoze without talking to others. We are hoping that these people will be working with us as well, so that we can get the best out of out of all these candidates to be the best people in Parliament. So this is what we have to do lah.
The odds are always against the independents. In my 35 years of covering politics, in my mind, one of the few independents who make it over and over again was the late C.Y. Choi. If you go to Penang, there's this street called Jalan C.Y. Choi. He was a former Socialist Front leader who got elected over and over again as an independent. And of course, Sharul Samad was contesting as a known face for an ex-UMNO person. But the odds are always against it. Now, many of your supporters and your admirers will say that, Siti, we love you, we like the way you talk, that would you want to really take the plunge and affect your chances, because that your image may get a dent if you were to lose in the election? What is your response to that?
Actually, the word image is a very interesting word. Some people who have been convicted and charged in court still gallivanting around and worshipped by people. Okay. It has always been me that I don't care what people think of me, and it has never been an issue to me personally. So what I do is because I know what I am doing is right for the future generation of Malaysia and Malaysia as a nation. I have had enough of people talking but not doing, saying to others and politicians, do this, do that, but ourselves doing nothing, complaining and yet doing and voting the same way and expecting a different result after 60 years. So we must step up if we believe Malaysia is worth savings for our citizens. That is all that matters. So when you ask whether I care about my image if if I'm beaten, standing as a candidate, to be honest, I don't feel, beaten, or I don't feel embarrassed or anything. I will feel proud because I feel that I have done something to make a change for this country. I want people to realize that it is not the political parties that you must be concerned of. It is the person that that represent you, which is more important. So, I will die happy because I have done my best to help our nation and our people, for all Malaysians. So image does not matter to me. What most important is that I believe in what I'm doing. Yeah, that's really the bottom line lah.
Siti, that in Malaysia, the politicians has been selling the same narrative, the same script. Sometimes it's already coming to a point where we are all still. When you contest an election, they always say, "Oh, you want to bring development and pembangunan to the kawasan." Obviously, if it's a no-brainer, I mean that you shouldn't even be telling us. You should have a plan on what kind of development you want to bring to the kawasan. So it's like, oh, demi pembangunan, and then of course there's this old line, oh, demi bangsa, agama dan negara. Hello. And of course, you have a religion come into play. PAS has done a lousy job in Kelantan, especially in Kelantan. There's no other revenue apart from logging and mining. But it gets elected over and over again. So you wonder that why do people elect them if they've done such a lousy job? If you go to Kota Baru, the streets are flooded, the drains are not even collected, not clean.
Dirty water,
dirty water. They can't even provide the decent, clean water. But why do they get elected over and over again? And many of us ask this question. It means that the politicians will be taking our narrative and our formula works lah, so we can use it again. Do you think there's going to be a change this time?
Well, you see, I think with the I mean the I don't know whether PAS will change. I don't think they will, because they will be harping on the same thing again, about defending Islam, defending the Malays and all that. I don't think they will change. But looking and reading the comments made by netizens, I'm not sure about the rural areas. But and I also go to Kelantan a lot. But on the ground, it seems there is some dissatisfaction amongst the Kelantanese towards PAS. And so I just hope that they, but you see, the mentality of Malaysians is very much on logo, okay? They and familiarity. So they will, vote based on what they are familiar with, and then and some just don't bother because they don't think that it is affecting them, so it is something that something wrong with our education system in not actually producing people or people who can think, and what to do with the powers in their hands. The rakyat forget that the powers are in their hand. They can actually change if they want by going to vote, against the norm, because for how many years Kelantan is still backward, huh? So why not the Kelantanese try somebody else, and give them a try. You're not happy, you can change them again in 5 years. So this is what people must understand. Every 5 years, we have the right to change these people who are not performing for us. So this kind of idea must be drummed into the public, that give new faces, new people a chance to run this country. And if they are not doing what they promise, and what they have actually said, change again. This is what happened in other countries that are successful and all. They are not happy with this, with the Labour Party, they change to the Conservative. So it's the power. Malaysians must know power is in our hand. Every 5 years we can kick these people out, whoever you are not happy with. So this is something that is a combination with a lot of things why we are still in this dilemma. Yeah.
Siti, you mentioned the logo, party symbol. Beside that, it seems to be quite a fixation with what a person should look like, what a person should dress like. Okay. For them, for many, because Malaysia is predominantly Malay and predominantly Muslims, so they expect this a Malay lady to wear the tudung and not to have someone like you with a blonde hair or a silver hair who speaks aggressively. Okay, and that actually some of Malay friends tell me, actually, you're a friend of Siti Kasim. Can you please tell her that, you have got to tell her to speak slower, not so aggressive. So there's this certain expectations of you.
Yes.
In Malaysia, even the word the liberal is considered a crime. Okay, I mean it's ridiculous. It's in the Rukun Negara, okay, right?
Yeah.
And yet that many people their idea of liberalism is hedonism. That's a favorite of past. They think that people go around having free sex. To them, that's liberalism.
Yes.
But your kind of image that you have, does it run into contrary with what Malay Muslims Malaysia expects of what the politicians should be like?
I always believe that one has to be a first-class version of yourself rather than a second-class version of someone else. This is the thing about, I'm not sure about whether it's just Malaysians or or all over the world, but people put so much onto the cover of the book, rather than the content of the book. I mean, the first time when we first actually created Maju with the word liberal, we support liberalism and all that. Somebody, a group of Malays, professional, okay, they are the one. They contacted me and say that perhaps you should change the word liberal into something else because liberal is not a good word. And these are professionals, okay. They speak English and very highly educated. So this is the mindset of a lot of Malays, but not all, of course. There are many Malays who are like me, and they are Muslims. So you see, a Muslim is a Muslim. Some may think they are more Muslim than others and think they have the right to impose their belief or their morals onto others. In fact, Islam actually do not teach these kind of things like forcing onto others of your idea what a Muslim should be. Okay, I think being a Muslim is more on your conduct, on your behavior, and not the way how one talks or how one's dress or look like. But of course, each and everyone has the right to form an opinion. But I think one has to look at one's conduct and one's principles before, thinking that, I mean, a lot of these people who are covered and all that is not necessarily they are good inside, So actually, I'm not alone being a liberal Muslim, but to be honest, this liberal Muslim don't exist, we are progressive and we think that Islam is not as what being portrayed, by many. So, where do you think the backbone of Maju came from? It's from the Malay Muslims, young and old. There are significant number of the Malay Muslims in this country like me. So we actually do not want to see this country to become another failed theocratic state. We are scientific minded and we believe a return to meritocracy is the only way our nation will be competitive and progress for all, including the Malays. So a lot of Malays that I have lots of Malay friends as well as Chinese and Indians and all kind of races, but a lot of them are in fear of coming out, because for fear they will be persecuted, prosecuted, because there are laws actually that control us to be in a certain mindset. I mean, I want to say about the Nazis control Germany, because the good people stay silent and do nothing. And they already lost the World War I. They have seen what their politicians had brought upon them, and yet they still vote the same way. And they gave rise to Hitler. So, as a famous quote say before this, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So, I would urge all Malaysians, doesn't matter you're Malay or Indian or any kind of other race, we need to have good people in parliament. It doesn't matter how they look or how they dress, or it's about their principles and what they stand for. Is it in line with your thinking for the country? Then you put that person in parliament. You don't like next time about how they perform, you kick them out. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care about people judging me not wearing, not so-called looking like a Muslimah, so-called a Muslim person. That I will answer to God myself. But what I'm doing for the nation, I believe you cannot deny that I am trying to do good for the country, for the people. So I hope people will see, beyond what is the outset of one's appearance rather than what is inside oneself. Yes.
Is peer pressure, intimidation, and fear a concern of Malaysians, even at this in this 2022 that we are in? Do they have these baggages that, oh, I don't want to be like Siti Kasim, if I speak too much, the income tax person is going to come after me, and that the police will come after me. I don't want to end up like Siti Kasim having to make statements after statements, showing me her TikTok and Instagram of her curry rice that she's eating before going to the police station.
Well, this is something I need to empower the people that we have rights. Do not cowed by others, whether it's the authorities or whether by anyone, because in Malaysia we have laws and we have rights enshrined in our federal constitution. So when I go to the police, is because for me, I will cooperate with authorities if they think I need to give statement. But that doesn't mean I feel that I am doing something wrong. They can accuse me. They can say anything about me. But as far as I believe what I'm doing is right, then saying what I believe is right, I will continue to do so. We need to be empowered. We need to know our rights. We need to know when to stand up for your rights. So this need to be taught to Malaysians, that do not count from anyone who's trying to tell you that this is the way. We must say why is it this is the only way, and this is the interpretation. We have to question, why do you say this is the interpretation, because mine is different. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to it's up to people. They want to become me or they don't want to become me. They don't have to become me. They have to be themselves. They have, what I want them to be is that, to be themselves, to be empowered, to be brave, to be strong enough to question everything that has been imposed on you or being told to do so. You question. Do not just accept willy-nilly without questioning. This is something, some people say that I actually gave them the feeling of, like strength when they seen me, not fighting, but questioning the authorities and all that. So, don't be in fear when you stand up for your rights. I mean, we are being all these years, Malaysians have been told to be afraid of the authority, and fear is our number one enemy. So don't live in fear. I mean, we have a lot of things going in Malaysia. So grab that, rights for yourself and fight for it, because the moment you let go of these rights and you keep quiet and you let go, the more the authorities will step on you, and they will take advantage because they know that we are so fearful to speak up. Yeah.
But having said that, Siti, I'm sure that in your experiences and meetings with all these abang-abang police, I'm sure they will have also told you on the quiet side, they're actually quite fed up with all these flimsy police reports, which is actually taking up their time.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, no, they make this report just for the sake of publicity, when actually there's no basis for it.
Correct.
I know for a fact that many policemen tell me, Chunwai, this no Saja thing is absolute nonsense. They make so many reports. You think we got nothing else better to do?
Yes.
You want us to go and catch your crews, and we are wasting time taking statements. I mean, they say this quite on the quiet side,
Yes.
But it also gives us the confidence and the belief that, look, there are many good people in the police force.
Yes.
And yeah, many of them, and I really like these people.
Yes, me too. I said over and over again, the police are not my enemies. They unfortunately, even my case, for example, the one that I was charged for obstruction against public servants in the transgender dinner, right? I was charged, and even the IO actually sat in the witness box and said that he got instruction from above to charge me in court, even there is no case. So this is the culture that we have, I suppose, in all agencies, not just the police, wherein the bosses think that oh, I don't know whether the bosses receive instructions from politicians or what, but if the bosses says you do this, unfortunately, of course, the lower ranks will have to do the job. They are just doing their job. So, as I said before many times, that our institutions, our government agencies need to be reset, rehauled, reassess. Many things are wrong in this country. We must have clear separation of powers. This I keep saying, and this is the one that I am going to keep on, pump into the minds of the people, that there is no separation of powers in Malaysia. We must have independence of judiciary. We must have independence of the executive. We must have independence of the parliament. So all these are separate. For example, the police are not obligated to answer to politicians. The army are not obligated to answer to politicians. Right now everything is under Putrajaya, under the politicians. So the politicians can tell, somebody in the police force or in the army or in the judiciary to do this or that. And if these people don't follow, of course, it's their rice bowl, and they are in fear that they will be kicked out. Like some happen, right? When you don't follow the things that these political leaders said to them, then they are being kicked out from their position. So this is why separation of powers is so important in Malaysia, in which is not happening. We have to aspire to that. The Malaysians must press this more and more, because right now the politicians are, like having a while of the, enjoying their powers, because they can tell these people to do what and do this and that. So, yeah, a lot of things are wrong in Malaysia.
One question before I wrap this up. You also mentioned earlier about education. One of the main concerns that has been talked about is, of course, the additional teaching hours in school for religion. And of course, that while it is elective in nature, it's always very hard for parents or students to say, oh, I won't go because it's elective. Most people will actually submit, okay, because the powerful religious doctrine is so overwhelming. It's hard to say no. And that we also wonder that why is JAKIM involved in the teaching modules for schools? What is your reaction to that?
Well, JAKIM has no business in managing the country. They have no business in any of the agencies or departments, to be honest. But unfortunately in Malaysia, our government, okay, whether it's PH or whether it's PN or whether it's BN, they condone, they actually support this religious body, which is, some people say is illegal, to intrude into making policies in every aspect of our country, okay? So, for me, JAKIM has no business to interfere in any of our government agencies. That's number one. And about this extra, sort of additional Islamic subject they are trying to put in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's not an elective for Muslim students, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is elective, if I found my reading.
Yeah, elective for even Muslim students?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If there is,
but of course, as I said, that it's always very hard to say no when it's introduced.
Yeah. The teacher and peer pressure is overwhelming in our current public school systems. So, as you say, that is not easy for these Muslim students not to actually join the classes. this will give more pressure, to the students themselves. So, that is why more and more Malays are choosing to send their children to vernacular schools. Science and maths need to be taught in more hours in total compared to any other subjects, period. That is the bottom line. Why do you think these are happening? Is because PAS is part of the government now. So they have a free hand in actually, manipulating the system by putting in more and more of what they think is more Islamic by, brainwashing our kids. So, this is the problem with empowerment is so important amongst parents as well. They tend to be quiet even though they are not happy with the system or the school and things like that. Yeah, I know many Muslim girls being pressured by the teachers themselves, by the school themselves by not wearing tudung. So a lot of them wearing tudung due to peer pressure, school pressure and all that. I used to have a clerk before, and she said that if the Muslim don't wear tudung, they are they are being penalized. They have to pay RM1 a day for not wearing tudung. So can you imagine? So of course all of them wearing tudung because it's just the way, the teachers, the quality of teachers who think they have the right to impose their belief and morals or onto the students instead of teaching. So there's a lot of, we have a systemic problem lah, in which must be rectified. And unfortunately, none of the politicians I've seen dare to actually touch this so-called sensitive area. It's not sensitive at all. Personally, I always say people think I'm anti-Islam, anti-Malay. No, of course not. I love my religion. I love my people and all that. But what I want is very simple. What I'm trying to tell people is that you can believe in your religion in whatever manner. No one is going to tell you are wrong because nobody know whether you are wrong or right or whether I'm right or I'm wrong, and that's fine. But the problem with this country is that they impose on their version onto others, and they use the laws and everything. The politician use everything in their power to actually manipulate the society to go into one way instead of letting us to be free to think for ourselves. This is the issue I have, and this is why I always advocate for the separation of religion and state, in which I mean as federal government has no business in managing religion, any religion.
And I think that, Siti, I think many of our Malay rulers share your view on that.
I hope so. Yes,
because religion is the jurisdiction of the Malay rulers.
Absolutely. This is what I keep saying. We need a federal government to concentrate on managing the country for all Malaysians. Give back the power of managing religion to the sultans, as in our federal constitution. So really, this is a mess because, to be honest, the federal government is taking charge, by managing, by using religion, because religion is the most emotional base for them to manipulate the people, to say that they are the defenders of the religion or things like that. So I always say the key word here is the manipulation of religion by our politicians. We need to get rid of this.
I've got to cut this down. We will spend the next 24 hours talking.
Oh yeah, we have lots of things to say about this. Yeah, I just hope people will actually, understand that what I'm doing is for the nation. What I'm doing is actually for the benefit of all Malaysians, including the Malays, for us to be successful in our economy, in everything. So really, it is something that people needs to change their mindset, thinking that people like us are trying to spoil the opposition. But we are not trying to suck up to the opposition or to the government. We are trying to cure our country here, you know. Help us to understand that. Yeah.
Thank you, Siti. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And I really hope that in this year of the tiger, you will continue to roar like a tiger.
Yes.
And
Wow.
and eat those politikus.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me again. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
To
Good
all
night,
Malaysians,
everyone.
and to all Malaysians, please continue to listen and to watch and to support the
Yes.
Siti Kasim.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Right.